If you ever wondered how professional sports bettors make money, well, let me show you. I've been talking that I was going to create this video. I actually created one before, but it was not like high quality. I still explained everything, but I want to actually break it down exactly step by step. I actually wrote notes this time. I'm going to break it down exactly how I do this. This has been working for me for 2 seasons already in the NFL, and I wanted to share that with you guys because I've been talking about it. I've been promising this video. So let me just get right into it. It's going to be 11 things that I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through them kind of quickly, but I'm going to explain each step. It's not complicated. It's just a little weird when you first listen to it. You'll see when I do step by step, it's going to make more sense. So just bear with me here. I'm going to start going through some screenshots and a couple of things, and I'm going to explain everything in detail. I'm going to try to make this a little bit of a shorter video, but I'm going to do my best to explain it as best as I can. So the first thing you want to do is you want to find something that's down the week, like later on in the week. So for example, for me, it's usually the NFL, and that's why I kind of wait until the NFL season to do this stuff. I do it with other things, but it works better with the NFL for the reason being that they only play, Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night. So anyways, for this example, I had the Vikings that were going against the Bears. I've done this with the Bills. I've done this with other teams. But in this example, this week, it was against the Bears. So I looked at a strong team with good odds. With bad odds, which was like a minus 300 odds. And anyways, I knew that the Vikings were going to whoop on the Bears. And sure enough, they did. But let me explain why this is important. So again, step number 1 is that you actually find a good team that's going against a bad team. So in this example, I'm going to give you is the Chicago Bears were 2-9. 18% in their last 11 games versus top 10 scoring defenses. So automatically I knew, and I had been watching football, I know these teams. The Bears were not going to win this game. So the Vikings were heavily favored. They were like minus 320 or something like that. So now what we're going to do is use the Vikings as leverage. So again, to confirm, step number 1 is to find a very good team that's going against a pretty weak team. In this case, it was the Vikings going against the Bears. Make sure they're heavily juiced. So in this example, I think they were like minus 300 or minus 320, meaning the Bears were like plus 320 on the other side or plus 280 or something like that. So they have to be very heavily favored. This way, we're going to be using their leverage of how heavily favored they are in our favor. If that didn't make sense, I'll explain a little bit better. This is very important. This is where I used to mess up too. I've made a lot of mistakes to perfect the system a little bit. But one of the biggest mistakes I used to make is picking different teams. So, for example, I like the Vikings, then I like the Bills, then I like the Chiefs, and then I would throw, bets all across the different ones. So then I finally figured it out. Just stick to the same team. So again, let me explain that a little bit better. Stick to the same team is a very simple concept. So like last week, I had like the Eagles, I think it was, or the Bills. The week before that was the Eagles. The week before that was the Chiefs. Again, you want to pick a very strong team that's going against a very weak team. So the reason we're doing this is not for every bet. Okay, so for example, I had hundreds of bets last week, but overall, I had 14 total open parlays. I'm going to show those to you right now, but I had 14 of these. So the only reason I'm actually using this technique is when I have a very good play, but I can't find another play that day to place it with. So, for example, like let's say the Cavaliers, I love the Cavaliers. They had a great, everything looked great, but their spread was like, let's say minus 18 or something like that. I loved that they were going to win, but I didn't like that they were at minus 18. So then I had to buy that back all the way to minus 10. I've done this several times this season already. But for example, let's say I want to get it to a minus 9.5 and their current line is minus 17. Now I'm getting the juice of like minus 200 now because I'm buying it back and they're giving me, more expensive to do that. So then I'm using this team, the Vikings, as leverage. I hope this makes sense. So now I'm parlaying the Cavs minus 9.5 with the Vikings on Monday. So I do that throughout the week. I'm finding plays. I'm finding stuff that I like. I like it, but I don't like it enough to pay the juice. That's the only time that you need to put this into effect. So in this scenario, this week, I needed it 14 different times. So here's the first example. I had the Trailblazers and the Suns to go under 226. You can see it's a minus 300. And then you got the Vikings at a minus 330. So I parlayed both of those together, and I got the odds of minus 136. If I would have got that minus 226 number that I wanted, I would have had to pay the juice of minus 300. but I didn't want to do that. So I had to hedge it, or I'm sorry, I had to parlay it with the Vikings so that I can get those odds at a minus 136. So I'm not risking everything with the Vikings. I'm going to teach you how you're not risking it later on. You're actually only using the Vikings as leverage. This is what the main key point here. So again, this is one example. I'm going to show you the others. Same thing with the Rams. They played, I think, Thursday Night Football or something. I got them at a plus 10.5. I parlayed that with the Vikings. On Thursday, there was less games because of the NBA Cup and stuff like that. There was nothing really that I liked besides the Rams at plus 10.5. So I had, instead of paying that juice of minus 430, I actually parlayed it with the Vikings. Here's another one, Karl Anthony Towns. You can see I wanted him at a 10 rebounds. His line was like 14. I mean, this guy went off. He had like 19 rebounds, but that's besides the point. I needed him to be around 10 rebounds. So I got him at 10 rebounds, and then I leveraged them with the Vikings. Here's the same guy, Shea Alexander. He went off too. He ended up getting like 39 points that game, but I got him at 25 points. So this is what I mean. You're using the Vikings as leverage to get the line that you want. And look at all these odds on top. I've been skipping them, but look at this, minus 131, just because I'm doing a 2-leg parlay. So again, I'm leveraging the Vikings. Here's the other one, over 214. Another one, I had the Navy game. I think I got this one live at a plus 15.5. So they were heavily underdog. They ended up winning the game, which is crazy. But anyway, I had great odds. Look at that, minus 132. And I had 16 points. They could have lost by 15 points, and I would have still won this bet. Here's the next one. This is just an example. I leveraged it. I didn't like the odds even then. Look at the odds up there, minus 550. I ended up getting minus 193. I wouldn't have done this bet there's no way at the minus 550. But because I had the leverage, I mean, 193 is still not good, but I knew I had the leverage with the Vikings. Here's another example, same similar situation as with the high odds. Here's another one with the Rockets, minus 300. Then I got the minus 350. So then the total odds were minus 140. One more, another one, and here's the last one. So I hope you were paying attention to the odds there. They were going from like minus 500, and I got them all the way down to minus like 125, 132. The highest I did was like 190 or something like that. But that was only because I was using the leverage. Now let me backtrack a little bit. Now let's say that today's game I like, let's say the Bucks, but they're super heavily favored. They're minus 300. I find another team down the line. I'm going to use the Chiefs as an example. I wouldn't go with the Chiefs. This guy Mahomes just got hurt. Whatever. I wouldn't do that. I'm just using them as an example. So let's say I like the Bucks today, but they're heavily juiced minus 300 or whatever it is. I'm going to use the leverage of the Chiefs down the week to get the odds down. I hope that makes sense. I hope this is starting to make sense. What you start doing is that you actually start stacking a bunch of one-leg parlays that are one leg is open, the other one is closed. And then you just start gathering them up like that. So obviously all of these closed yesterday when the Vikings won, but I had a bunch of open parlays, which was like 13 or 14 of them. And then on Monday, which was yesterday, they finally all won for me. But you have to, what I'm trying to explain here, I guess, is that you're going to have a bunch of open parlays throughout the week that have been hitting for you. And then they actually close out at the end of the week. So now let's say yesterday was game time, right? I wake up in the morning, I remind myself that day, don't forget to hedge, because this is very important. This is where I've lost money when I wasn't doing this. I would get greedy. I was like, there's no way the Vikings are going to beat the Bears. I'm sorry, the Bears are going to beat the Vikings. There's no way. And I would get greedy. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to let it ride. And then guess what? The Vikings lost. And then I would have lost money. That's me before. That's what I used to do. I would get greedy. I would say, there's no way the Vikings are going to lose today. They look even better today than they did 5 days ago. And then I would let it ride, and then I would lose. So you don't want to do this. You want to hedge. So let me show you exactly what I did yesterday with the Bears. I gathered all my open tickets from all the different books, and it turned out that I had an initial investment of about $350. So it turns out that I counted every single one of those bets. I think it was 13 or 14 of them. And then I saw how much did I put out to get these 14 open parlays. And what it turned out to be like $350. Well, it wasn't exactly $350, but it was close, $350. So what I did yesterday morning, I even put it out there. I said, look, I'm going to go and get the Bears. Do not get the Bears at the plus 275 unless you've been following my hedge. And what I mean by that is, if you see here, the Chicago Bears for 200 for a plus 275, I did $90. Okay. And look at the payout to pay 337. So I put up an extra $90. So I already had 350 out there, and I put up another 90. So I was in, what is that? 350 plus 90, so 440, right? 440. What I'm trying to say here is that if the Vikings would have lost this game, then the Bears would have won, and then I would have covered all my $350. And the only thing I would have lost, and I would have been risking, was $90 for the Bears right here. I hope this is making sense. If not, make sure you comment. If you like this sort of information, make sure you subscribe. I'm trying to give you the juice here. This took me a very long time to figure out. It took me a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of patience, a lot of sweat. So I hope this is making sense. If it's not making sense, I hope that you would send a comment, and then I will reply to every single comment. But what I did again that morning, which was yesterday morning, I put in $90 to cover my initial bets, which was $350. I mean, it's not exact math right here, but it's very close. I'm going to make something very clear here. Do not get greedy here. You're going to see all the open tickets. You're going to be like, damn, I'm going to make $500 today. You're going to see 14 open parlays. You're like, man, the Vikings are looking good. I'm going to make it very clear for you. Take the hedge. Do the $90. Get the team, for my example, was the Bears, and you want to hedge it. You want to protect yourself. This is the whole reason I'm making this video. If you just, there's actually 3 ways you can do this. If you're very risk tolerant, like you're high risk tolerant, actually medium risk tolerant, like I am, I'm actually very high risk, but what I'm trying to show you here is that I did the Bears to cover my initial investments. So I'm like medium range, because I've learned my lessons. There's 2 other risk tolerance that I want to explain. Before I get to the risk tolerance, let me just tell you what it was. So my profit, without me hedging at all, if I would have just let it ride, I would have made $265 from those 14 parlays. I ended up covering myself. I put up $90 for the Bears to win, just to cover myself. Now, the 265 minus the 90, I ended up profiting $175. Okay. So I took the approach that I want to protect myself, medium risk, and I protected myself, and I was guaranteed this profit of $175 unless the Vikings lost. If the Vikings lost, then I would have lost $90. But I would have protected myself here. Now, there's 2 other risks that you should be aware of. The first one is that if you just let it ride, you say, you know what, I've been working all week, I'm going to make this money, the team is good, I'm going to let it ride. You got greedy. If it hits, you win $275. If you lose $350. I've done this. I've lost. That's the reason I hedge. So I put up the $90 and I protect myself. But that's the highest risk, is that you just let it ride. And if the Vikings win, you win all your money back plus the 265 profit. If the Vikings lose, you lose the $350. So that's the highest risk. The medium risk is what I did, the $90. I put in the $90. I protect myself. If I end up losing, I lose the $90. I don't lose the $350. If I end up winning, I win the $165. Now, there's another small thing that you can do. It's still high risk. I'm going to tell you right now, it is high risk, but it's very rewarding. So if you're willing to take the risk, then that's up to you. You can learn your lessons on your own. You can do whatever you want. So what you can do is you can wait for the game to start. And if the game starts and your team is up, like for example, me, I was in the first quarter, the Vikings went up 10-0. I looked at the odds, the Bears, they were not at plus 295 anymore for them to win. They were like at a plus 750 or a plus 800. Sometimes I've seen plus 1,000. So now instead of throwing $90 to cover your initial 350, you only need like 20, $30. I hope this is making sense. Again, if it doesn't make sense, make sure you comment. But you're basically, what you're doing, you're taking the risk that your team is going to come out strong, then they're going to score some points. And if they score some points, then it's awesome for you, because now you're not getting the Bears at 295 anymore. You're getting them at plus 800, plus 1,000, plus 2,000. So again, that's another risk. You are risking it because it's happened to me where I'm like, you know what, the Vikings are not going to lose. They're going to come out strong. And all of a sudden the Bears come out and they start winning. And then throughout the whole game, you don't have a chance to hedge anymore. You just lost your money. So again, that's the other risk that you have to be aware of. If you want to take that route, it can work in your favor. Most of the times it does, but sometimes it doesn't. So that's up to you. That's your risk tolerance. That's completely up to you. So again, the reason for this video, the reason for this explanation, this drawn out explanation, giving you all the risks and all the stuff, what I like to do is I like to hedge. So you can see right there, Sunday, this was on November. Look at the Sundays, which is the 3rd, the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th. All of those days are green and they're heavy. $22, $147, $207, $191. That was in December. Those are pretty much the heaviest days because they were Sunday and I hedged it and I still came out on the green side. Now look at this. This is December. And again, I went with the Vikings. So I actually lost money on Sunday. But then you look on Monday, $315. And the reason being, the Vikings played on Monday night, not Sunday. So otherwise that would have been on Sunday. So what I'm trying to show you here is that it's very profitable, very lucrative. It can work in your favor if you do it right. If you like this sort of information, click on the link in the description or go to beastsportspicks.com. There's an area that says free picks. You can get all the free picks that we post out there. I know what I'm talking about. We don't win every day. You saw the green, you saw the red. We don't win every single day. We do overall win money. Sometimes it's very bad days. Most of the time it's very good days. So I went through those struggles. I went through a lot of bad days, a lot of bad weeks, a lot of bad months. I've been doing this for a very long time. If you want this sort of information, make sure you click on the link in the description or go to beastsportspicks.com. We have different options there. The first one you can see, it says free picks. We have right now currently about over 800 people in that list. We send out the email, the picks to your email and to your phone. If you want, all our plays, all the best stuff, everything that we're posting, everything that, you want to see. Like I said, I already have 2 today, actually. You want to go into the VIP. We have about 10 or 15 people, something like that. Some just dropped off because of the Monday night and all this stuff. But overall, this channel is growing, and I hope you enjoy it. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much. Have a good day.